Business Access TV.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Health and wellness are the buzzwords on everyone's lips these days, and BATV is here to bring you highlights from the Pharmaceutical Society's 32nd Annual Conference, happening under the theme, Pharmacists Advancing Sustainable Development Goals for a Healthier You. I'm Keneal Gale, and I'll be your host. Stay with us.
The Pharmaceutical Society has a rich history of representing pharmacists and of doing things that we can all be proud of. It has negotiated through two political administrations, both the PNP and the JLP, to ensure that we have a large representation. In fact, majority representation on the Pharmacy Council of Jamaica. And this is very important because what it means is that pharmacist directs the profession. Are you happy for that? So those are some of the landmark things that the Pharmacy Council of Jamaica has done. As a team, we have negotiated and piloted the training of several pharmacists in basic life support, which includes first aid and CPR. As you are aware, the PhD is about training, is about ensuring that our pharmacists have cutting-edge knowledge so that in their everyday practice, they can actually advance the sustainable development that we also look towards. And so we have planned and executed several CEs to enhance the knowledge and the capacity of our pharmacists, ensuring that they are equipped, of course, with the knowledge to help their patients.
We are a community, and we are interdependent community. None of us stands alone, and indeed none of us can survive on our own. And when we look at public health, which clearly is my core mandate as Minister of Health, it is becoming increasingly clear to me that we have a significant task to redefine the narrative around what we as government, the drive of public health and ensuring the health of our country, requires of the rest of us as a partnership and cooperation and collaboration in order to ensure the health and wellness of the entire Jamaica. In your case, you represent some 460 pharmacies across the country, about 1,000, I understand, pharmacists throughout Jamaica, some in the public, some in the private sector. And we have to increasingly see you as a strategic, critical partner in the delivery of public health. You clearly have to contend with the challenges of your particular businesses to ensure that you balance your books, to ensure you make a return on your investment and your effort, and that's very important. But we are so connected as a society in terms of the challenges that we face, whether in delivering the direct benefits through writing prescriptions and providing medication, or the medium that we engage, the technology, as was spoken to earlier. If there are any mishaps, if we discern a particular challenge at a particular point in time, even if it appears to affect just one subset of our population, invariably it affects all of us. And the partnership therefore becomes so much more important. When you look at the disease profile of our population, where lifestyle-related diseases, NCDs as we call it, has become the dominant risk to individual and community. When you look at the cost of treating those lifestyle diseases, it comes right back to us as individuals and how we treat with ourselves and how we see our personal responsibility. And also as a collective based on our particular areas of specialization, doctors, nurses, and pharmacists. And that's the approach that we have taken, certainly over the last year plus, in trying to redefine how do we in the public sector, in public health, find a more critical role for those who are supporters of healthcare generally, but not directly linked to the public health space. And so when the NHF launched the public-private partnership, where today some 17 private pharmacies are involved in providing public drugs to patients who access public health care, doctors in the public system. That is a core manifestation of the partnership that we seek, that we have achieved, and that we must continue to grow and expand.
We go to a break, but don't go too far because we have lots more after this.
It's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, free eye test. It's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, free eye test.
Free eye testing is back and it's here to stay. Island Eyewear offers free eye testing every day, all day at all locations island-wide. Conditions apply. Make your appointment today at www.islandeyewear.com or call us 630-1180. Island Eyewear, your style, your price.
It's Island Hour, free eye test.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Thanks for staying with us, and if you're just tuning in, we are here at the Pharmaceutical Society's 32nd Annual Conference, an event geared at helping you to stay in the best shape while giving you all the inside information on the industry.
What is cybercrime? Today we live in a digital world where companies, corporations, and almost every imaginable activity is influenced by the evolution in technology and technological devices. The computer has changed the way we do everything. It influences the way we do business, and as a consequence, it must influence the management strategies employed. And I am sure I pause here because I noted from your program, from the message of Dr. Tufton, that you will all be going into this whole issue of putting out regulations. And this is policy, Dr. Tufton, for electronic prescribing. So here it is, you are ushering into your world the use of all this digital technology. Now, at first blush, I can assure you it appears to be sexy, but there's a dark side, and that is what I think the policymakers, the extra burden on Dr. Tufton's head, and I take it Mr. Jones and Dr. Dunn to make sure that as you go into this particular arena, you go fully clothed with the knowledge that will help to make sure that you are proactive and you will not be vulnerable to the negatives of the digital world, which will put you into the cybercrime arena. The misuse of computers and computer systems have resulted in a legislative response in the form of the Cybercrime Act 2015. And this is amended from a previous which seeks to address criminal activities which target computer systems and data. The Cybercrime Act criminalizes the unauthorized access to data or computer systems together with the unauthorized modification, interception, as well as computer-related fraud and forgery. The legislation does not define cybercrime, but it defines the term computer. The definition is wide enough to cover devices such as thumb drives, hard drives, tablets, and cellular phone devices. In fact, any data storage and processing device are included in this definition. However, in a conversation with your president, I thought I have to really zoom in a little bit more on this phenomenon of social media. Because not only if you are a parent of, I almost said a teenager, but any child, but it seems to me that social media has just about taken over everybody. You have pictures on social media of people using their phones and walking into open manholes, or actually being killed crossing the road and not attending to where they are going. You have professional protocols now going into looking at the use of social media at the workplace. In fact, you have companies that are going into your social media to decide whether you are a professional in terms of how you present, even in social media, whether they would wish to have you on their establishment. And we see that gentleman in the White House, Mr. Trump, in terms of policy, is making sure that when you are crossing the borders of the United States, don't be surprised that if you fall in a particular category of person, that your social media, that you're going to be vulnerable to that being explored by law enforcement at the border, and even before in applying for a visa. So it really behoves all of us to know exactly what we are about as professionals and have an inbuilt, how should I put it, compass in respect of what it is that you do when you go into the digital world. Because I can tell you, and you could also invite several of the cybercrimes persons, the experts. I can think of Inspector Linton from MOCA, who will tell you that nothing is secret anymore once you put certain information on digital. You'd be surprised, because in some encryptions, law enforcement will have particular software that can lift it. I don't know if I should be telling you that, but it is a fact. You see it on CSI on television anyway. So you have to be very careful, because once you have put it out there, you cannot call it back.
Here, practitioners generally is very close to our heart of group, and it's been a part of our corporate social responsibility as we travel across the enterprise of Jamaica now to find ways, very innovative ways of helping to secure the wealth of people who have entrusted their entire lives to taking care of people. There are many studies that show that people who often are in the profession of taking care of people don't take care of themselves. This is with the same passion and vigor that you will do. And so you have to have somebody taking care of you. And that's where we want to come in as your financial partner to ensure that we are looking out for your well-being. Not only your financial well-being, of course you need money for other things, but the financial aspect is just a part of it. And so we welcome ourselves proven into your and we look forward to a long-lasting partnership. So thank you, and we wish you a successful conference.
We take our final break, but don't touch that remote. We have more highlights for you after this.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this: no more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more. No more crime.
Sundays at 4:30 p.m. It's all about Home Sweet Home. Get your half-hour dose of the business of real estate, from laws and concepts to reality, building, buying, or renting. Or what about trends in decor or renovations? Home Sweet Home will keep you up to date.
Dr. Michelle Russell is here talking with us now, and Dr. Russell is the second vice president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica, and she's also the chair of the Continuing Education, Research and Training Committee. Dr. Russell, you sure do a lot in putting together this conference.
Yes, we do. It's a lot of work. It takes almost a year to get it together for the topics and choosing speakers. We chose this year to do sustainable development goals, which is a part of the WHO mandate for 2030 to improve the lives of the whole world. We're addressing things like the non-communicable diseases, your diabetes, your asthma, your cancers, obesity. These are the things that we as pharmacists feel very passionately about. We want to make sure that when you come into our pharmacy, whoever this is, whether it is in government or private, that you can speak to us on how to prevent them and how to treat them. That is our mandate. That is what PSJ is all about, getting the best health outcome for the population.
How is it important for Indian Pharma to be a part of this conference?
We as a drug brand equity developer and also the distributor in this nation, it's our responsibility to be supportive to the industry and its associations. It's our major responsibility to build the country through the education of the pharmacist fraternity and being part of this world, to build a healthy world while we caring for the nation's health.
The conference is focusing on how pharmacists can contribute to sustainable development. How do you think that is possible?
It is an ongoing process and a never-ending process. It's for perpetuity. It's so interlinked. The health, what we always say, health is wealth. So this is where healthcare comes in, and this is where the pharmacists who plays a very intricate role and a game changer, like what you heard a while ago. They are the ones who are the ongoing caretakers of the patients, Whether or not they see the doctor, they will go to the pharmacy first to fill the prescriptions, and they take further advice. That's where the pharmacist says, yes, you can continue, or no, you go back to the doctor for further checkup. So they play a game-changing role in the industry and the healthcare. So it's very, very pivotal for our industry.
We're now with Janice Wedderburn, and she's the brand manager for over-the-counter products at CariMed. Janice, just tell me, how has this conference been for CariMed so far?
Well, so far the reception has been excellent. As usual, our pharmacists support us. We have frequent visits to our booth, and they're very appreciative of what we have to offer and the new products that we have online as well.
What are some of the new products that CariMed is offering?
Well, we have our contact lenses now available from CariMed Fresh Look. So if you want to change the color of your eyes, you can buy a Fresh Look. And in addition, we have our Aris Skincare line. Now, Aris Skincare is well known on the market. It's made right here in Jamaica by Dr. Yap. And so you find that a lot of persons tend to draw to that product line. And we have products like the Aris Sulfur Bar, which is a flagship soap. So a lot of persons do recommend and do use that product.
What's the major thing you want to achieve from being here?
Well, from being here, first of all, is just to support the Pharmaceutical Society of Jamaica. And secondly, we want persons to continue to recommend our products. They're excellent products, and we know that they will continue to recommend it. So we just want to further encourage the recommendation and to give information on what the new products are that are coming out. We have even lactic acid that I didn't mention, that now we have 3 presentations coming out later in the year. And so we want them to just be aware that those will be available, look out for it, and ensure that they have it in their pharmacies.
And joining me now is Karen Peart. She's the brand manager for Massey Pharmaceuticals. How are you, Ms. Peart?
I'm very well, thank you.
Great. Just tell us a little bit about Massey Distributors.
All right, Massey Distribution used to be H.G. Hopwood. In 2001, we were bought out by Massey, the Neil and Massey Group, and so we have rebranded and we're now Massey Distribution Jamaica.
Tell us a little bit about some of the products that you have here at the Pharmaceuticals Conference.
We're represented by 6 booths here today, and we supply a wide array of pharmaceutical, over-the-counter, as well as prescription drugs.
Give me a quick overview of the things that you have that are new and what has the response been.
All right. We have a new line from Deng Pharma, solely distributed by Massey Distribution. It's an OTC line. Very interesting products. They're what you would call supplement so that it can be easily understood.
Tell us a little bit more, well, as much as you can, about some of the plans Massey Distribution has going into the next couple months to a year.
We are on a drive to really promote all our products, our Carlisle products, which are mainly geared towards cough and cold, as well as for our topicals. Summer is coming up. You're going to need all your rubs and ointments for your rashes, mosquito bites, etc. We have our Pharmatex line, which is a Massey branded line, and we have our Pharma Wormall, and you know summer is coming up when you deworm all the family.
What are some of the major things LASCO is trying to achieve by participating in a conference like this?
So one is partnership. Our pharmacists are one of our key customers. We spend a lot of time with them. So this is in support of a great learning environment. So we participated primarily for that. And we also use the opportunity just to showcase some of the brands that we provide to the whole healthcare industry, whether it be prescription or over-the-counter, so that, again, bring familiarity and partnership between both groups.
LASCO has made a significant contribution to the pharmaceutical industry in Jamaica and has carved out a pretty big chunk of it for yourself. How do you see LASCO's role in helping to drive economic growth?
Okay, to drive economic growth, one of the things you want a society that is healthy, you want a society that can access healthcare. And one of the things that LASCO prides itself in doing is ensure that the medicines are affordable so that patients can access, so that healthcare becomes a reality. Not just a prescription on a piece of paper, but you actually can get the drugs, you can get it at a good price.
And let's talk about that, because one of the things Lasca has prided itself on is getting drugs at affordable price to the Jamaican people.
Right. So we source our medicines from all over the world. We have multinationals, we have branded generics, we have generics from Canada, we have generics from India, we have generics from Germany, we have generics from all over. We also, like I mentioned before, we have the innovators. So we have a nice balance of portfolio for the patients, wherever their pocket can reach. And at the same time, we ensure that they are of the highest quality, so that it really doesn't matter which of the molecule you get. I mean, as long as it's the right molecule for you, you're going to get the results that you want. So that really, really helps, so that, no longer are gone are the days with some patients just not being able to access medicine. And this works well with the current infrastructure that the government has in terms of the NHF, the JADEP, and you also have now Avendis and access to healthcare, which at zero cost almost to the hospital. So you put all of that together, you bring an affordable medicine, you bring the right medicine, and you have more patients getting care.
Pharmacists play a central role in the management of patients, especially patients with what we call chronic non-communicable diseases. So a doctor will see a patient and diagnose a patient with something like diabetes or hypertension or high cholesterol, and then that patient may be given a prescription for 3 months or 6 months or a year. And it is a pharmacist's responsibility now to manage that patient through this period while they're not actually seeing their physician. And so if there's anything going wrong with the drugs that a patient may be on, or with the condition, if it's not properly controlled or so, then the pharmacist has to give that patient advice. And so it is very important that the pharmacist is so equipped and is continuously updating the information as it relates to these non-chronic communicable diseases that are out there that are affecting our patients. And what this will do in terms of sustainable development and advancing sustainable development is that we won't have a lot of rehospitalization of some of these patients, and that will obviously reduce the costs associated with hospitalization of patients. It will also help to improve productivity, because if a patient is sick, they can function as well as if they're not sick. And these are the things that we are looking at to see how pharmacists as a healthcare professional can assist in sustainable developments for the society.
What are two of the major takeaways do you want pharmacists who attended this conference to leave with?
Well, two of the main things that we want our pharmacists to recognize is that, look, I am, as a pharmacist, the repository of a lot of information that can assist my patients on a daily basis. And so I need to equip myself to ensure that the information that I'm passing on to my patients is of such high standard that, it cannot be questioned. Also, we want pharmacists to recognize that they are also the main persons as it relates to drug therapy and drug therapy management. So if the patient comes to you and there's a problem with the drug therapy, you should be able to do what we call a workup of that patient, whether it be a pharmaceutical workup of that patient to say what are the issues, and then to decide on a way forward so that you can make recommendations to physicians and other healthcare professionals who are so involved in the management of their patients.
That brings us to the end of our coverage of the Pharmaceutical Society's 32nd Annual Conference. Until next time, I'm Kenil Gale. Thanks for tuning in to Business Access TV, serious about business.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never ever have enough. Hello there, it's Positive Thinking Day, and we start things off with that timely reminder from popular talk show host and actress Oprah Winfrey. Stay with us. We have lots of useful tips and information waiting for you right after this break.
Jamaica, I can help you protect our citizens.
Jamaica Eye will play a part in increasing your public safety.
Jamaica Eye is part of an island-wide network of camera surveillance systems designed to increase the safety of you, our citizens. If you have a camera system outside your home or office facing a public space, log on to jamaicaeye.gov.jm today. Jamaica Eye, we're all connected. The Ministry of National Security, creating a safer and prosperous Jamaica.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, September 13. A backlog of thousands of traffic tickets have been cleared following major software modifications to the island's Traffic Ticket Management System, TTMS. The TTMS is a centralized, web-based system that was introduced in September 2010 by eGov. It improves ticket management from the point when one is issued to when it's either paid at the tax office or adjudicated in court. The major update to the TTMS ensures accurate information is available to the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the courts, and other critical stakeholders. 240,000 traffic tickets recorded as failed payments from September 2010 to April 2019 have been rectified through the upgraded system. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang says the government recognizes that poor data entry is an ongoing issue and is embarking on a pilot project to replace the manual ticketing system. He says the proposed handheld ticketing solution will comprise a mobile device, such as a smartphone or tablet, and a mobile printer, which will allow the police to efficiently validate offenders' driver's license and vehicle registration. This system will also facilitate the production of accurate and legible traffic tickets, which will significantly reduce data entry errors. Further system improvements and preventative measures are in progress to ensure there is no repeat of the failed payment buildup. 4 schools will be removed from the shift system in the current fiscal year, which ends March 2020. It will cost the government $93.9 million to institute the change. The money will be used to upgrade the Exchange All-Age School in St. Anne, Albertown High and Cedric Titus High in Trelawney, and Port Antonio High in Portland. Minister with Oversight for Education Carl Samuda made the disclosure as he responded to questions in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. He says the 4 schools are among 37 institutions that remain on the shift system. Come January 1, there will be a reduction of the sulfur content in the island's marine fuel to 0.5%. The current sulfur content is reported to be 3%. Minister of Transport and Mining Robert Montague says the move is to protect the marine environment against oil pollution incidents, as government anticipates more ships coming into the country.
Jamaica is on the leading edge of getting that fuel out there. So it is estimated that if we can get 10% of the business, of the amount of ships that come through the Panama Canal, we can earn upwards of $3 billion as a country.
The minister was speaking yesterday during a transport operators meeting in Mandeville. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett has urged members of the UNWTO General Assembly to express solidarity with the government and people of the Bahamas following the passage of Hurricane Dorian. The minister was addressing the 23rd session of the United Nations World Tourism Organization General Assembly on Wednesday in St. Petersburg, Russia. He urged the General Assembly to take note of the current situation in the Bahamas and resolve to offer all the support that is possible to ensure a speedy and effective recovery. The tourism minister also called upon the UNWTO to support the reconstruction process with a focus on rebuilding better and thriving industries. Minister Bartlett says the Global Tourism Resilience and Crisis Management Center, located at the University of the West Indies in Jamaica, is ready to serve as a vehicle for implementing the UNWTO's collective efforts. The international tourism body includes members from 158 countries, 6 territories, and over 500 affiliate members from the private sector. The minister and his delegation are expected to return from Russia on Saturday. The Jamaican Language Unit at the University of the West Indies, Mona, will be leading a national discussion on the issue to position Jamaican Patois as an official language. The discussion will be conducted under the slogan, "Make Jamaican Official, Just Do It." It is part of the 100 days of activities to celebrate the 100th birthday anniversary of cultural icon Louise Bennett Coverley. Speaking at a recent JIS think tank, Professor Emeritus at the Jamaican Language Unit, Hubert Devonish, says a meeting will be held on September 26 to plan the public discussion, which is scheduled to begin October 1.
We want to go to all the parish capitals, churches, community groups and so on, where we will be having a discussion about should the Jamaican language be made official? What does that mean? What are the resources in the case of the government departments and so on that they need to put in place so that when people come in, they can provide services in any of the languages that people feel like they want to use, respectful and efficient service.
He says the language unit will also launch a 40-day online petition on November 1, asking Parliament to pass legislation to grant official status to the Jamaican language alongside English. This will be followed by a symposium at UE on December 10, which will pull together all the discussions to form a report which will be submitted to the government. And finally, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will be amplifying its efforts over the next few weeks to raise awareness on sickle cell disease. In a statement issued this week, the ministry says it will be offering screenings to pregnant mothers and newborn babies at all public health facilities, free of cost to families. 19,000 Jamaicans currently live with the illness. Early screening allows medical practitioners to determine whether or not a child has the sickle cell disease or if he or she is a carrier, meaning the child has the sickle cell trait. 4 doses of pneumococcal vaccine and a further booster dose of Haemophilus influenza type B are offered by the ministry to children who are sickle cell positive. The activities are part of plans in commemoration of Sickle Cell Awareness Month being observed in September. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
So, as mentioned earlier, it's Positive Thinking Day. This is time set aside each year to concentrate on all things affirmative, progressive, and uplifting. The commemoration began in 2003 so that people could experience the many rewards of thinking positively. Talking about rewards, here's the story of a young man who, despite unfortunate circumstances in life, was able to pull through and excel because of his go-getter attitude.
Growing up, I didn't have no parent, nowhere to go. I was just stranded. I started to live in Crossroads because I didn't have nowhere else to go. So what I would do when I'm at Crossroads, I would stay in Mothers by day, and by night I would get a piece of cardboard and sleep at the bus stop beside of Mothers in Crossroads. I will walk and beg, or I would stay in mothers for the whole day, begging passbys or so forth, till I find myself again money now. So I'd always have a phone, so I use that money that I get, buy credit, put on the phone, and put on service, data, and find out about all of the ministries and so forth. And I will sit there and call the different ministries, from the Chief of Defense Staff Office to the Minister of Education, the Prime Minister's Office, all of those. So I keep on calling and keep on calling till I call the Prime Minister's Office again, and as secretary, I talk to her till I tell myself, say, I can't take it no more. I start crying, I tell the lady, say, Miss, please just help me. Please, I beg you, help me. And the lady say, young man, I will guarantee you that I will help you. So don't worry yourself. She called me back like an hour after or so forth, and she said to me that I got to a person that I think will most likely help you in your situation, which his name is Mr. Martin Rickman. He is the head coordinator of the OPE program. An hour after, Mr. Rickman called me, and he introduced himself, and I introduced myself, and I tell him my story all over again. He told me that he can help me out with something to do, a skill and a job or so I can gain some form of income, so I could buy hygiene products and clothes and so forth. So he directed me to the Art and Ripon Road, where he told me to bring all relevant documents like ID, TRN and so forth to that place on Ripon Road, and speak to the secretary and tell her that Martin Rickman, the head coordinator of the O program, sent me here. He told me that I should go to a school that's on South Camp, UWI Open Campus. I went for 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, I spent at Open Campus at South Camp Road. I then moved on to a government agency for work. I started off processing in the computer all documents that come in. I will be the one who to lodge it in the computer and send it off to the different departments. But now I'm a customer service rep at the moment, because my supervisor told me that my talent is wasted where I'm at right now. I don't do much more than lodge the documents in the system and so forth. So she gave me more hands-on training that would more fit my criteria.
I think it is a good motivator in the sense that, it gives them some purpose of living, coming, doing something, knowing that he's responsible for something that is such a vital aspect of our daily activities. He dresses well, always on time, and he takes pride in whatever, what is assigned to him. Meaning he works really hard, and whenever he's not here, they miss him.
This particular day now, I think it's the following week, after Martin Rickman helped me out with the O program and so forth. I saw a lady, just a random lady, I was begging and so forth. And the lady see me and she started to talk to me and ask me, why am I here and so forth. So I told her and I spoke with her, and she take me into Mother's, she buy me a patty and a juice. And we were talking, just talking and talking, and then she asked me, do I want to come to stay with her? With a glad face, I accepted and said, yes, I would love to come home with you. When she took me in, it's like, I was very welcome, because just looking, I had a bed to sleep in that used to be a cardboard. I had food to eat that used to be me begging on the street just to make ends meet, just to eat a little patty or something. I had dumpling, she gave me all type of food that I longed to eat from a longer while.
You know the reason why I do it?
God himself provide for me. That's me can feed myself, feed him, feed my 2 grandchildren then. Helping him is not a problem. Helping somebody when they are in need is the greatest thing for me.
I can put my life like the Titanic, if you ever seen that movie. It's like, you know, when the ship was sinking, there's a lot of persons like, them don't know what to do. Some people just jump off in the water because them can't. But I was there and like, the ship has sink, and it's like I tell myself, say, you know what, I'm not going to make this ship sink with me now. So I decided to just jump off. So when you jump off now, I decide say, you know what, I nah give up, I nah just drown so, I nah just go down so. So I tell myself, say, you know what, I go swim. Till I see a light, and that light was Martin Rickman, who shine a lot of other lights for me to a lot of different islands, a lot of different places.
Mommy,
Yes, sweetie?
how can I change my world?
You can change your world with just one word.
Thank you, Miss.
One action. We can change the world with acts of random kindness.
Stay kind, act kind, be kind.
Sometimes it's not so easy to be positive and optimistic. With all the turmoil and challenges of life, positive thoughts might be the last thing on our minds. But here's an idea. Why not start with the little things, such as acts of random kindness?
So many times we sit and we talk and we say, hey, I would love for Jamaica to be this kind of place. But what are you really doing? What type of Jamaica do you want to see?
We're hoping to use art to teach Jamaica that it's not the thunder that grows the flower, it's the gentle rain. We want Jamaica to stop thundering for everything and start to put forth gentle rain, especially in the lives of our youth.
This gentle rain is the Acts of Random Kindness initiative being put forward by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, the JCF, a program that inspires and encourages expressions of kindness.
Our project comes out of our youth empowerment and mentorship program, where we're teaching our youngsters to know themselves, to know their purpose, to understand that it is important to cultivate attitudes of kindness, gratitude, and respect, as well as to put themselves on a good destiny, a life path.
The Youth Empowerment and Mentorship Program uses the iPad Summer Camp to teach resilience and social skills to children from at-risk communities.
If we can show you an act of kindness when you were young, if you were to reciprocate this act of kindness to somebody else, what a wonderful Jamaica this could be.
We saw a youth leader in the camp who decided to take responsibility for the lack of a belt on one of his team's part, and said, you know what, you have my belt and I will then take the responsibility for the consequences. It's like an evolution and a revolution all at once, because they made revolutionary changes to their behaviors as opposed to when they just came on day 1, day 2, and you could start to see them evolving into being kind and gentler youth.
Action means identity, purpose, attitude, and destiny. So with the attitude, you have I will show respect, kindness, and gratitude. It's important because most youths are growing up in very disturbing societies where a level of kindness and love isn't shown. So the camp actually gives us that love that is missing from our lives and help us to reflect this on others as well.
We want our youth to do tangible acts of random kindness, to be kindness ambassadors in their schools and communities. This will in turn raise the awareness in adults that they too should be agents of change.
We are challenging Jamaica to engage in a very self-conscious way in acts of random kindness amongst adults and towards our children. We want you to think kind, Jamaica. We want you to act kind. We want you to be kind.
I am ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
You have to have kindness in your heart. You have to be compassionate towards people. Some persons really need it. A little act of kindness sometimes motivates somebody else.
So we want our youngsters at school, at home, and at play to think kind, act kind, and be kind. It is a message that needs to be self-conscious.
We are inviting you, youth, adults, business places, to take up your link in the chain and bring this initiative to life. Respond with smiles, hugs, positive affirmations, and acts of kindness to transform relationships in homes, schools, the workplace. Transform relationships right across Jamaica.
If we want a kinder, gentler Jamaica, where all of us want to live, work, and raise family, it is important that each and every one of us start to think about the words that we speak to our children. Start with a kind word. Start by giving a smile and saying good day. Start by saying thank you. Start by giving a hug. Where you can be a mentor, just listen to their concern. Show that you have some degree of understanding and empathy.
Be conscious, be aware. The cost to being kind is a state of mind.
Did you know that the Child Protection and Family Services Agency has taken steps to make the adoption process much shorter? Yes, adopting a child in Jamaica has never been easier. So for those of you who are interested, this is a great opportunity to start the process. Trust me, there is no greater fulfillment than helping to save a life. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, has taken steps to make the adoption process much easier. Joining me is Adoption Coordinator, Mrs. Maxine Bugelo, who will be giving us some information about the changes made. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Bugelo.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to go straight into it. What are the changes made?
Okay, before 2016, we had a two-tier system. First, applicants were asked to complete a pre-adoption form and then submit that to us. Now that would normally take some time. So we reviewed the system and said that it would be best if maybe we erase that part of the process. So now what applicants have to do is that they go straight to our website and where they will find the adoption forms. The forms include the application form, the medical form, one for the child and the applicants, and the guidelines which outline all the information and all the required documents that need to be submitted with the application form.
Awesome. And what are the required documents?
The required documents are the birth certificates, marriage certificates if they are married, job letters and income statements, references from persons who know them, not a family member. And the references should not necessarily speak only to the person being a nice or a good person, but it should speak to how would they care for a child. That should be included, their capacity to care for a child. If the child is in school, we need the child's last school report as well.
And when all of that is completed, what's the next step?
The next step would be submit all of those to the CPFSA. When it is here now, we would review to ensure that all documents are here. Now, if all the information is there, the application is reviewed, given a number and assigned to a caseworker. And a letter would be sent to the applicant informing them of this and who the person is. Once the caseworker gets that application, that caseworker would now start to prepare appointments to interview both the applicants, the child, and whosoever, the birth parents, because the birth parents are also very important in the process.
And what if there are no birth parents?
Well, if there are no birth parents, we would have had death certificates for the parents if they have died. If they are nowhere around or cannot be located, there are avenues that we would have to take internally to ensure that we try our best to find them.
And once that's completed, what's next?
Once that is completed, the officers then would have to do a comprehensive report. And that report would have to be compiled and then submitted to the adoption board, because the adoption board is the only agency in Jamaica that can approve adoption at that level. So after the approval, it is submitted to the adoption board and approval is given, then it is now preparation for court. Because court is where it is finalized legally.
How long does that process usually last?
The entire process? We are at now 3 to 6 months, depending on if there are no challenges.
And once you get to court, then?
Once we get to court, well, court is held depending on the availability by the court. Some courts have set dates, while others will have to submit our documents and await their decision as to when we can come to court. Now, once the court has signed off on those documents, for adoption orders, it is the applicant's responsibility to collect those, and they will take a copy to the RGD, where they will apply for the new birth certificate for the adopted child.
And is there any cost associated with any of this process?
No, adoptions are free in Jamaica.
Is there anything else that Jamaica needs to know about the process?
We need adopters, prospective adopters, to understand that it is important that they submit all the documents, and it is also important that they are truthful in the stories that they give pertaining to how a child is placed in their care. Because what we find is that sometimes when we approach birth parents, they are not aware that this child is being adopted. They know that somebody is caring for their child, but that was not the arrangement that they adopted for. Persons generally who wish to adopt should love a child, should really want to take care of a child, because it's a lifelong investment. Persons, they should have proper accommodation for their child. They should be able to financially can afford to take care of that child. And they should be willing to accept that child as theirs. And that is very important, because we see sometimes that persons adopt for many different reasons, and this can affect the relationship of that child for the rest of their lives.
How can people reach out to you to find out or to just inquire about the adoption process?
Okay, we have an email address, adoption@childprotection.gov.jm, and our straight line to the unit is 922-1751.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bugelo.
You're welcome.
Thinking positive thoughts have numerous benefits. Scientists say it reduces cardiovascular disease, lowers the risk of catching the common cold, and stimulates better psychological and physical well-being. So here are some tips to help you do just that. 1. Start the day positively by saying, "Today is going to be a good day." This will set the tone for all the hours to come. Reciting positive sentences about you or your circumstances can give you boldness, confidence, and self-esteem. 2. Hang around positive people. 3. Count your blessings and show gratitude for the simple things in life. 4. Read or watch positive motivational books and movies. 5. Be kind to someone. And 6. Smile. Let's journey on the path of positivity today and help to make our island home a better place for everyone to live, work, raise families, and do business. And this is the final stop in today's magazine. Thanks for joining with us. To watch today's program again, simply visit our website, gis.gov.jm. Don't forget that you're able to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'm Sandra, reminding you to never let yesterday take up too much of today. Walk good.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.
My name is Christelle Harris. You're watching Business Access TV. Serious about business.
You're watching Business Access TV.
Business Access. Business Access.
Business Access.
You are watching Business Access TV.
Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Serious about business.
Welcome to BATV's coverage of the Masters of Cardiology under the theme Cardiovascular Care and Technologies in Low-Resource Environments. Hi, I'm Javon Keys, and we're here to bring you the highlights. Stay tuned. So tell us, what was the idea behind this weekend's conference?
Well, a large part of our mission is education of not only our doctors internally, but our community doctors, because as we're fond of saying, you know, cardiology is a team sport. So if we know everything there is to know about the heart, but the people who are referring patients into us don't, then patients are not getting the best possible care, or sometimes their care is being overlooked or symptoms are being missed. So we decided that having a conference, having a formalized approach to educating our community was in order.
So for the Caribbean generally, is heart disease something that we should be particularly concerned about?
Absolutely. I am fond of saying that if we put all other causes of death and disability in a box, so whether it be cancer or HIV or murders or slip and fall, car accidents, if you put all those causes that Jamaicans and people in the Caribbean die in a box, and then you put cardiovascular diseases in another box, you would not be able to fill the cardiovascular disease box with all of those causes combined. So when we're talking about cardiovascular diseases, we usually include diabetes in there because the lion's share of diabetics die from heart disease. So heart disease, stroke, and heart attacks or cardiovascular disease as a bundle kill more Jamaicans than all other causes of death and disability combined. So we really all should care about it.
You had some big names here. Tell us how that was and the reception that you've been getting from patrons about the kind of conversations that took place.
We organized a conference under the theme Masters of Cardiology. And what we wanted to do was really to get absolute masters, people who are adjudged by their peers to be among the best of the best. And so we've got chairmen and division heads from major academic institutions in the U.S. We have the chairman of medicine from the University of Pennsylvania, the chief of cardiology from the University of Pennsylvania. We have the chairman of cardiology from UCLA, and the list goes on.
It promises to be a very exciting conference. The learning never stops. The moment you stop learning, you're dead. Dr. Parfait has been a great leader in medicine for many, many years, and he graciously accepted our invitation to headline this event with the opening keynote lecture, and I think that is going to be very, very revealing because everything we're able to accomplish in medicine has to do with the leadership that drives it. But sometimes, there are innate qualities in leadership, and there are some things that we have to learn along the way to accomplish that. And I'm looking forward excitedly to hear that lecture and other lectures to follow. Jamaica is a very beautiful island. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth, so some of you may not have time to explore the rest of Jamaica, but this should be an ongoing series of conferences we're going to have. We're looking forward to robust collaborations with our partners that are here, and I think you will be hearing more of us. We'll be welcoming you all again here.
So we developed a multi-pronged program. We hired professional coaches for every one of the people on the leadership team for 1 or 2 years, and we developed a model to focus on what they wanted to accomplish as an individual, where they felt their needs were. Now, I was skeptical, I got to tell you, about this professional coaching. I didn't know what these people did, but as a number of people have pointed out to me, even professional tennis players still have a coach. If you can get people that have these skills, and there are organizations that teach these people, we found these professional coaching properly directed incredibly important. We started with a full-day immersion in terms of leadership and had a plenary speaker on that subject with many exercises. Then over the course of 2 years, we had, and I want to stress, interactive sessions. These were not just lectures on how to have a difficult conversations. They were simulations. They were exercises. There was peer-peer interactions in terms of getting people engaged. And we felt that this tripartite approach combined with readings, and I can again provide you with a list of the readings that we'd recommend, were what our faculty needed to develop their leadership skills. And again, this was our overall goal, to move people to the right on that 9 box, improve their learning agility, because this touched everything. And ultimately, if we were going to lead change, we needed people that were agile, that could function in multiple domains and not just focus on one trait. And this is when we looked at the 9 box in terms of where our faculty started out. This is actually what it looked like. We had a number of people that, as you're facing it on the left, were really people that tended to focus on depth, going in depth to things. We had a few people that were actually focusing more on agility. Now, the truth of the matter is you don't want to be too far right or too far left. Some people are more detail-oriented, more focused-oriented. Some are more agile. But where you really want to be is somewhere balanced, somewhere in the middle. And so this was what our curriculum looked like. We first developed a cadre of coaches, and we did some matchmaking, knowing the skills of the coaches and the skills of our trainees. We had each of the division chiefs and each of the vice chairs and division administrators do a personal Via Edge personality survey. And that tells you your own personal style. Now, I was skeptical about that. I took it myself. But I have to tell you, I learned more about myself with this little tool, and I think it was dead on than I really fully ever appreciated about myself. And we used that to inform the coaches. The only people that saw this were the coaches and the trainees in terms of what they should focus on, in terms of the development of this leader in our department. And then we started the interactive sessions. We had a few rules. First of all, we wanted people to show up. Second of all, we said, what's said in this room stays in this room. We knew people needed to expose themselves, their vulnerabilities in terms of what they needed to learn, and tell people stories about what things they had done that had worked, and also things that they had done when they had failed. We wanted our division chiefs and vice chairs to bring examples of both. We wanted people to keep all their scheduled coaching sessions. I think we insisted on about 10 hours of coaching over the course of a year. We said that nobody could send substitutes, and we basically invited our division administrators to selected sessions primarily focused on the business and finance of the department.
I'm going to talk about resistant hypertension, new and emerging concepts. I'd like to thank Drs. Bao and Madhu and Ms. Lisa. They've done wonderful things organizing this particular conference. I bring you greetings from New Orleans, which is the most northern Caribbean city. So I understand being a little bit behind in time. But I have a lot that I want to cover, and it's related to an area which I think is important not only in the United States, but also throughout the Caribbean: high rates of hypertension, high rates of poorly controlled hypertension. Here are data from the United States. So this is non-Hispanic white, this is non-Hispanic black. And over the last several decades, you see cardiovascular disease mortality has been coming down. But what you may note are two things. One is, if you take those data out to 2014, you see a plateau. It's starting to slow down in terms of the decrease in mortality. And some of the newer data are suggesting there may even be an uptick in cardiovascular mortality as we have increase in obesity, diabetes, poorly controlled hypertension. The other thing I want you to show is if you're looking at all cardiovascular disease, the top curve, the differences between blacks and whites in the United States, it's not even close. We're not talking about social science. This is dead bodies at the side of the road. Cardiovascular mortality comes earlier and higher in the black population when compared to the white population. Here are the rates of hypertension control. You can see we did well for several decades, but over the last several years, the rates of control are actually starting to decrease somewhat. Now, who has resistant hypertension, which is basically blood pressure that remains above goal despite being on 3 or more medications at maximally tolerated doses, and often that includes a calcium channel blocker, RAS blocking agent, and a diuretic. This is a paper that I published 2 years ago, and one of the markers for resistant hypertension is black race. Now, I'm not suggesting that this is genetically driven. Some of it's related to those disadvantaged status, health-seeking behavior, not having a primary source of care, and when the person presents to the hospital, the emergency room, the urgent clinic, they've already had years of poorly controlled hypertension. Living in the southeastern part of the United States, which is where much of the African diaspora came in to the United States, remains disadvantaged for resistant hypertension, excessive salt intake, and excessive alcohol intake. Alcohol raises the HDL. It has not been shown to be protective as we once thought, especially for men, 2 or more drinks. A woman, 1 or more drinks on a daily basis may actually cause an increase in hypertension.
We take a break now, but we'll be right back with more from the Masters of Cardiology.
Do you want more experience from your SUV? Introducing the 2020 Nissan X-Trail with leading-edge technology, intelligent ride and chassis control, a round view monitor, and hill start assist for confidence behind the wheel. Plus, auto headlights and panoramic sunroof. Drive the SUV with more experience. The Nissan X-Trail, available today at Fidelity Motors.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
There's only one recommendation for funding that is ever going to come from me, and that is funding from a bank.
This is the cost to build. It includes every nail and screw for the building.
Our motto is building communities, building a nation.
Get in the know with the world of real estate with Business Access TV's Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m.
Every day you wake up, you have another opportunity to make this little island better, safer, a place where we all can be proud to call home. It's time we all recognize that every little thing we do has an impact on the Jamaica we live in now and the country we're leaving for our children. So promise me this, promise yourself this. No more will we tolerate criminals, even if it's our relatives. Tell them they're doing something wrong. Tell them to stop. Tell them no more robbing our children of the Jamaica they deserve. Tell them no more crime.
Welcome back to Masters of Cardiology. Here's more. The Heart Institute of the Caribbean is the only one of its kind in the region, is it?
That's correct, in the English-speaking Caribbean.
And what kind of gap has it filled regarding the whole issue of cardiovascular diseases or issues in the region?
Hopefully, we're trying to play a role in helping to address the rising epidemic of cardiovascular diseases in Jamaica, specifically, and in the Caribbean in general. So with the Heart Institute of the Caribbean as the only freestanding cardiac center of excellence, and HIC Heart Hospital as the only heart hospital in the English-speaking Caribbean, we have provided a platform, for individuals with cardiovascular disease to have one-stop shop where they can get acute treatment and ongoing management of chronic cardiovascular conditions.
And with that, there's no surprise that you would have had this conference, Masters of Cardiology, to tell us where that idea came from.
Well, one of the part of the mandate of the Heart Institute of the Caribbean is to continue to inform and educate and continue to learn. We believe that effective cardiovascular service delivery has to be a coordinated team effort to make sure that the various aspects of diagnosis, treatment, and ongoing management are properly covered. It's impossible to deliver good cardiovascular care as a one-man. It's not a one-man sport. It's a team sport. There are so many aspects of cardiology. One cardiologist cannot know everything. It's impossible. If you have any one cardiologist that tells you he can deal with everything, then I think you have to question the sincerity of that claim. One cardiologist can also not be on call or available 24/7, 365 days. As you know, cardiovascular disease can be fatal and can be quickly fatal, and acute heart attacks can occur without warning. And so if you have a solo cardiologist, running a center, then that will make it impossible. It puts patients' lives, at risk essentially, because that person may not be available when the heart attack, strikes. So that is the kind of information patients and doctors also may not be consciously aware of. And so intellectual exchanges, of best practices become very critical. And the work we do has, many ramifications. And our expertise also informs our approach. We have international collaborations. Our peers internationally recognize our competence and have respect for what we do, as we do what they do, the kind of respect we have for them. So it's shared values.
So why does virtual care matter? And we're defining here virtual care as care in which the doctor is not actually putting their hands on the patient. They are either interacting with them over the phone or video, or they're an expert who's reviewing a synthesis of that patient's records. Can virtual care really make a difference? Well, I would like to recognize Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In 1966, he was speaking at a press conference in Chicago, and he said, of all the forms of inequality, injustice in healthcare is the most shocking and inhuman. So the work that all of us are doing that brings us here today is not only helping a patient here and there, but it's doing the right thing. It's combating injustices, injustice and inequality in access to medical care. What can virtual care accomplish? If I'm not here laying my hands on the patient, putting my stethoscope on the chest, can virtual care really make a difference? The answer is yes. So basically, Ashifa is a woman in her early 50s who had a lump in her neck, and she was diagnosed with metastatic squamous cell carcinoma. And she came to Best Doctors, which is the company I work for and has subsequently been acquired by Teladoc Health, to have, she lives in Calgary, but she wanted to have her case reviewed by top experts in head and neck cancer, top experts in pathology, to see if her treatment, her planned chemoradiation, was the right thing to do.
I had a lump on my neck, and what happened was we got a biopsy done and it was negative. There were no issues. But my family doctor said, it doesn't belong there and let's get it removed. About 10 days after that, I got a call, and it was my surgeon. The surgeon said, Ashifa, you need to clear your calendar. No appointments, nothing. Clear it for a few months. This is not going to be a fun treatment. You are going to be living a nightmare.
Ashifa's doctors were searching, doing multiple biopsies in her throat, her tongue, removing her tonsils to try to find where did that cancer originate, and they couldn't find it. The chemotherapy that's used to treat head and neck cancers is often uses what are called platinum-based agents, and those are very toxic. They're ones that cause a lot of side effects, a lot of nausea, are very difficult to go through. And then again, the radiation, instead of just having a focused field of radiation, they were really looking to irradiate a large area of Ashifa's head and neck, hoping to get the cancer wherever it originated because they couldn't find it.
And somewhere throughout that, all of a sudden, it hit me. I've got a Best Doctors policy, and I need to contact them.
At Best Doctors, we take very, very seriously the trust that people put in us. And we recognize that it is absolutely critical always to go to the primary source, always to use the primary data, because misdiagnosis can happen anywhere. So it's not enough to just take a pathology report on face value or a radiology report on face value. We always make sure to collect the primary data ourselves and have our experts review the pathology, have experts in the field reviewing the radiology scans, because that is something that really enables people to feel very confident that misdiagnosis, if it's there, has been identified and that their diagnosis is accurate. The treatment will be there to deliver optimal outcomes.
3 days before the treatment was supposed to start, we got the magic call from Best Doctors. It said, no cancer.
Multiple top pathologists all looking at her slides to confirm that in that lymph node, there was no cancer, that the diagnosis of metastatic cancer was wrong.
The end result is there was no cancer. There is no radiation. There is no chemo.
So, and what Ashifa ends up, what she has is Sjogren's disease, which caused some very, very funny-looking lymphocytes to be in her lymph node, but it was not cancer. So, but why did Ernest invite me to speak here today? The reason is this, is that all of us are looking to improve the access of men and women and children to high-quality medical care. And the potential of virtual care to be able to be a remarkable tool in this mission that we all are engaged in it's remarkable.
We're here today in Jamaica, and a lot of what we're talking about, I think the people as I sat down listening to all these talks, the folks at HIC have done a lot of these things already. And I think, maybe looking at the model that you guys have implemented, I know you've probably gone through some rough and tumble period in building this, because as my own experience is that it's not easy to accomplish what you've done. But I've had some unique experiences in Nigeria. This is where, we need to look at sustainable options. Nigeria is a unique country with about 186 million people in 2016, expected to become the fourth largest country in the world by 2050, with about almost 493 million people. And the GDP is 376 billion, and is considered lower middle income. We've seen a similar graph for many low middle income countries, similar to this, in the course of this talk, where there's still a large percentage of the population that are young. And the healthcare system there is very fragmented. Like, as you see, there are 33,000 general hospitals, 20,000 primary care centers, and 59 teaching hospitals. But the healthcare is accessed by only 43% of the population. And that's a problem. And sometimes a lot of the drugs, they are substandard, they are imported from different parts of the world, some are manufactured locally. But so my role was to work with Heart Rhythm Society. I currently serve as ambassador for the Heart Rhythm Society to Africa, about how do we grow the practice of electrophysiology on the continent. And we started a few years ago just with some colleagues, where we first of all tried to define the magnitude of the need and some of the other things that we may be able to do. But a lot of the services currently is limited to implantation of devices. Some of the barriers we saw was the issue of infrastructure and the cost to the patient, as I mentioned before, and the lack of trust in the medical system by the patients, and also the issue of the fear between primary care doctors and cardiologists. I had that being that they feel they lose the patients to the cardiologists. We face the same issue, that primary care doctors were afraid to refer to the cardiologists. Even we face the same issue in the United States. It's the same issue everywhere that they look. But the key is to train people that keep that patient alive first. That's how you can have a patient in the first place.
Stay with us. We'll be right back after these messages.
It's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, free eye test. It's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, it's Island Hour, free eye test.
Free eye testing is back and it's here to stay.
Island Eyewear offers free eye testing every day, all day, at all locations island-wide. Conditions apply. Make your appointment today at www.islandeyewear.com or call us 630-1180. Island Eyewear, your style, your price. It's Island Hour, free eye test.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
The Good Life, your trusted source for useful health and wellness information, lifestyle tips for the mind, body, and soul. Tune in Tuesdays at 8:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
case you're just joining us, we are at the Jamaica Pegasus for the Masters of Cardiology event. Stay tuned for more highlights.
When I was a single surgeon here, I would have to treat cases, cardiac cases, general thoracic cases, and there comes a point in time in that when you are the only surgeon, what do you do in relation to getting or training other youngsters to take over from your position? Because of this limited resources, we planned over a number of years to introduce the program, and we finally at the University of the West Indies introduced the DM in cardiothoracic surgery, which involved training. In the first 3 years, the members of this program were exposed to general surgery, and within that 3-year period, they had 6 months in cardiac surgery and 6 months in general thoracic surgery. Then they had the final 3 to 5 years was spent in being exposed purely to cardiac and general thoracic surgery. Now, of course, the opportunity to be exposed to these programs was limited by the number of patients that you operated on, and of course, the number of patients operated on was limited by the resources that were available to you. And fortunately, to increase the resources and the number of patients operated on, I was able to invite teams of surgeons, teams of cardiologists to visit at certain periods of time. We would investigate the patients, and we would do these cases, thus increasing the number available to our trainees. But of course, we felt that the numbers were not significant enough in Jamaica, and we arranged with our colleagues for these youngsters to be trained in facilities in other countries. Unfortunately, with this program, we have established the numbers of cardiothoracic surgeons in Jamaica now is approaching 7, and I will then hand over to our other members of the panel, because their information would increase our what we have available for our graduates.
In terms of GME training or residency training or fellowship training in low or medium resource environments, it's all about partnership. But let me say from the outside that this is not a one-way partnership. It goes in both directions. At Penn Medicine, we have some experience historically in starting a medical school in partnership with the University of Botswana. It's now in its 7th or 8th year. And I would say approximately 1/4 to 1/3 of our medicine residents at Penn actually spend time in Botswana getting a global health experience. And I'm absolutely convinced that we get as much out of this as hopefully they're gaining from our interactions with them. We also send faculty members and have an on-site director in Botswana. The point is, it's about a two-way partnership. We all can learn from each other. And I think that I'm very excited. Dr. Madhu has reached out to us about an interaction in cardiology. I was talking to Dr. Coppola, our chief of cardiology, about about sending both our trainees down here, our faculty down here, but also bringing trainees from Jamaica and the Heart Institute and the rest of Jamaica, for that matter, back to Penn for some training.
So I'm Carol Watson. I run the cardiology fellowship at UCLA. And I can tell you, when I took over the fellowship 5 years ago, we sort of reimagined the whole thing. And one of the key principles we put in there was that the world is flat and cardiology is global. So one of the things that was never a part of our fellowship before was a global experience. Since then, we have a elective rotation in Malawi, and again, most of our internal medicine residents go to Malawi, and now some of our cardiology fellowships. We have an ongoing collaboration in Malawi, where when we first went over there, we got a grant to take over 3 echo machines. And with that, we were able to quadruple the number of echo machines they had in Malawi. So they now have 4, and we have an ongoing collaboration where they we trained physicians there to read echoes, and honestly, they read echoes better than some of our echocardiographers now, and they send studies back and forth. And so that's been a really fruitful collaboration. We also now have an elective in China. We have a affiliated hospital that we send fellows back and forth with. We have a quarterly Trans-Pacific Cath conference where we take turns. They present a case, we present a case. And it's so interesting hearing how similar the patients are and how similar the procedures are, but then also how different the approach is. And so many of the approaches make a lot more sense. So we're getting as much as they're getting, I agree with you. Making sure we can offer as much as we take is important. And I will be talking to Dr. Madhu about initiating some kind of partnership with his institution, because again, what we take away and what we give, I think, is so important to our trainees, and there's no way you can train a cardiovascular specialist for the future without understanding the global landscape.
Walter Clare from Vanderbilt, and actually mine is more been focused on the undergraduate medical educational aspects of global health and under-resourced areas. So quite frankly, at Vanderbilt, we do not have formal active relationships in global health for our students. But we have a strong program in coordination with our program in public health that allows our students to have a global health experience. They do various exchanges. But in fact, at Vanderbilt, we find ourselves a well-resourced, highly technically oriented academic medical center in the midst of what we call the cardiovascular disease belt of the southeastern United States. And so to some large extent, our experience with under-resourced areas has to do with working with the rural communities in not only Tennessee, but southern Kentucky and northern Alabama. And what we basically have done at the medical student level is to get our students involved in those types of activities, as well as our own medical student clinic, which a lot of universities around the United States are doing now. A little bit of the uniqueness of ours is that we have a collaborative relationship with Meharry, one of our historically black medical schools in Nashville, and we have what we call the Vanderbilt Meharry Alliance. So we do a lot of population health with them. But what I really want to talk to you about for a moment is the fact that we have indeed, with all due respect to what's going on at UPenn and leadership, been focused on this issue of leadership at the undergraduate medical level with our students. About a decade ago, we developed a program in health and wellness for our medical students. And it started out primarily as an activity that involved extracurricular events. And then about 8 years ago, it transitioned, just about a year before I started working with the program, to incorporating narrative writing, mindfulness, public policy, leadership, and conflict management into a curriculum for all of our entering medical students. At Vanderbilt, we've divided our medical school into 4 colleges. Each of the 4 colleges has a couple of mentors. I'm one of the 2 mentors for my college, Chapman College. And so when the medical students enter our school, they're assigned to a college. It's not strictly at random. And they stay in that college until they graduate. And that includes the MD, PhD students. So I have some students who've been with us 7 years. And over the course of those 7 years, we start out with that curriculum, which involves 43-hour sessions during their first year. and multiple sessions throughout the remainder of their medical school curriculum. And we do almost everything that you saw in that slide about leadership development in some form or fashion with our students. It's really an introductory level for them. And it's interesting that I've served on visiting committees to a number of other medical schools. One in particular I visited recently, and they had worked in collaboration with us to change their curriculum. And I was unpleasantly surprised to learn that much of the stuff on emotional intelligence and conflict management was not included in their curriculum. And when we evaluated them and we talked to their faculty about the problems they were having with the new change in their curriculum and the relationships that were not going well among their students as they worked in the classrooms, they admitted that they'd missed the ball on that, and that in fact they had to abruptly stop the curriculum, put it in recess for a bit, and go back and teach the students how to interact with each other. Because most of our medical students are in medical school because they have been highly successful individual learners. They have not necessarily learned how to work in teams, and that's where we find most of the conflict.
We now take our final break, but please don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your children. Help them to better understand the world around them and to value what is truly precious. Above all, the most valuable gift you can give them is love. Play, talk, teach, love. Take the time. It makes all the difference. A message from the Parenting Helpline and Ad Council Jamaica.
We are back with another exciting, innovative, and inspiring season.
It takes a lot of stick-to-itiveness, being consistent and persistent in whatever you're doing. That's the bottom line.
Business exists to add value to people's lives. And if we're not doing that, might as well we lock down the store and just call it a day.
It's a season 3 of Creating Wealth, Mondays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access. Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Welcome back to our coverage of the Masters of Cardiology event here at the Jamaica Pegasus. Here are more highlights. How did you feel when you got the invite to come to this conference?
I think I was very privileged and honored. I was also, I think, just thrilled at the fact that a conference like this exists. I'm an academic cardiologist, and I go to many conferences, I participate in many endeavors, but not all of them, I think, are, as focused on issues which affect many of us, but not everyone rises to the occasion to try to address it.
For persons watching, what are some of the recommendations you may have to the average viewer about ensuring that they are up to date regarding their cardiovascular health?
So I think one of the important things is doctors are your friends, okay? we talk about a healthy lifestyle, and in general, I think many people, maybe they are aware of it, but I think a lot of people know about the importance of keeping their weight under control. If you have too much weight, you need to lose weight. Even if you are the right weight, everybody needs to exercise, and again, diet, avoiding bad habits like smoking. So there are a lot of those things, but then to also know that there are diseases which can come on which you won't know. You don't know or feel when your blood pressure goes up. You don't know or feel when your blood sugar goes up, when your cholesterol goes up. So there are many things which are hard for you to know, but they can affect you long term. And so don't be afraid of doctors. I know that there are many thoughts about doctors, what they do, what will they do, but we've learned, especially I think in other countries, that preventing disease is the most powerful thing you can do. And as I've said, some of these are invisible things. So I think everyone should, as part of what they do, at least every 1 or 2 years, in a healthy person, at least see your primary care doctor who can screen you. And if they, discover something that needs a cardiologist, we're more, for people who have more disease, then you will get referred to us. But at least make sure you're seeing a primary care physician on a regular basis.
So what was your discussion based on today? What was your topic?
It was a lot of topics today about educational topic and real problem for training physicians here in Jamaica, and another topics about the healthcare system in Jamaica and how to provide the best healthcare for all the patients in here. A lot of technical topics about the cardiology and the advances, the new advances in cardiology in the time being, and how can we deliver and conduct this advances to Jamaica for the time being.
What was your main takeaway from the event, the conference overall?
Yes, sure. Those conferences we are making to provide a real impact on the society after that. So it's not kind of meeting people, it's kind of re-innovation of the system and the renovation of all the revising how we are doing things. So today we had this opportunity to meet all the pioneers. This first time that this conference happened in Jamaica, and I hope that it will run every year to see all those brilliant guys over there, over here more time.
So tell us your view on this conference.
This was a very, very, very well-run, very educational conference. I'm impressed by the lineup of the masters of cardiology, the wealth of experience they brought to the meeting, and then the overall focus on cardiology management in our setting, our resource poor setting. Most of the presentations, even though we discussed fairly, cutting-edge topics, everything was brought back around to how does it impact the Caribbean people. So I thought it was a very good conference.
What was your topic or topics of focus?
My topic was on women and heart disease and special considerations for Caribbean women.
And that discussion is important because we find that more women in the Caribbean are prone to heart-related diseases. Is that correct?
It is correct. So ischemic heart disease is the #1 cause of death in most of the countries of the Caribbean, and even in Jamaica, where diabetes is said to be the #1 cause of death, that death is mediated through cardiovascular disease. So one of the issues with women is and not just women, but their providers, et cetera, and the public, people tend to think about breast cancer and other gynecological cancers as being their #1 problem. And yes, early on in the reproductive years, that is an issue. But as you get older, cardiovascular disease takes over as the #1 healthcare issue. And when you look at a population as a whole, cardiovascular disease ends up being the leading cause of morbidity and mortality. So when we talk about women and heart disease, it starts from education of the public, public perceptions on women's risk for heart disease, and trying to twist that in people's minds. Even in the primary care setting, a lot of primary care providers don't consider cardiovascular disease risk when they're seeing their patients. They think about doing the pap smears and the mammograms and all of that. But especially as the woman starts to age in their late 40s and 50s, then they need to, that conversation has to be had.
Dr. Capola, tell us about the discussion that you had today. What was your topic?
We had a very interesting discussion today as part of a session on how to have care collaborations between centers in other areas and the Heart Institute of the Caribbean. And it was a real privilege to think it through. So at my institution, we have 144 cardiologists who all have different expertise. And we discussed how that's a great platform to choose the right people and to find out who wishes to come here and collaborate in care, in training, and in research, and in reciprocally, how to engage HIC and have them visit us. One of the obvious conclusions we came to was that we need to establish a video link. What we can do to have shared care for complex cardiac problems is work together using technology via the internet to review the case, review the images around the case, and help make decisions. That's an obvious first step, and I think it's never been easier to do that. We actually do it with regional hospitals close to Philadelphia, so there's no reason why we couldn't do it here. It's just a matter of setting it up. So that will be the first step, I'd say.
So how important would you say is the kind of exchange like that for not just necessarily cardiology, but medicine in general?
Exchange is essential. I think that if you remain in a silo, if you remain just seeing what you see and treating conditions the way people around you treat them, your scope is limited. And I've been at different centers at different parts of my career. One of the first things you learn is when you go to that new place is what's universally true and what's just sort of local practice that other people have strong feelings about. That becomes very apparent. So that's a benefit to all involved in the exchange. I think it's essential.
So from today's event, what was your biggest takeaway?
My biggest takeaway is that it all boils down to relationships and true desire to collaborate and exchange. And I think Dr. Ernest Madu has done an amazing job at building relationships, and that will be the key. That will be the key. So that's my take home.
What's one of the most important conversations you think that needs to be had with regards to Caribbean heart health?
I think one of the most important things is knowledge and trust. So I was talking to Dr. Madu, and he actually on the way up showed me an electrocardiogram on his phone from someone who is having a heart attack. People need to understand that a heart attack is an emergency, and no questions asked. You need to get to a center like HIC that can open your artery, and if you don't, you might not make it. So I think there's a lot of education that people need to understand. They also need to understand that you have to collaborate. So I've noticed that there are different cardiovascular and medical programs in the country. I'm a friend of mine, Dr. Michael Boyne, is at the University of West Indies, and I think there's lots of expertise that can be brought together here for the benefit of people. So getting out of the silos, collaborating is probably one of the most important things.
So tell us about the topic that you spoke on today.
Today I talked about sleep and cardiovascular disease. And I like to think of it as the sleeper in heart disease because many people know of all the traditional risk factors for heart disease: high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, being active. But not many people are aware how important it is to have enough sleep. And also, that's number one. And secondly, that there are some sleep disorders, such as sleep breathing disorders, obstructive sleep apnea, that can, if not treated, can cause other cardiovascular diseases.
As it relates to heart treatment generally, and I'm sure you've probably looked at the Caribbean as a whole and some of the issues that may impact Caribbean citizens or black people generally, what are some of the recommendations you may have for the average citizen to take care of their cardiovascular health?
Okay. The first thing I always like to say is definitely know your numbers. You need to know what your blood pressure is. Basics. If you go to the doctor, don't just leave, oh, I had a visit today with a doctor. What was your blood pressure? What was your weight? If the doctor did blood tests, what are the results? What's my cholesterol? What's the good? What's the bad? Know all these numbers for yourself. Based on your weight, are you in line with what it should be? Are you overweight? So take control of your health by knowing all these numbers first. So after you know your numbers, if any of the numbers are out of line, if your blood pressure is too high, definitely seek treatment right away. And a lot of times in the Caribbean, and I hear this often, people say, well, my blood pressure is controlled, so I don't need to take the medication. No, it is controlled because you're taking the medication, so you need to continue taking the medication. And I have problems with relatives of mine. I say, well, are you taking? They say, well, the prescription ran out. Well, although it ran out, it means you need to continue taking it. So little things like this, I think it's very important.
That concludes our coverage of the Masters of Cardiology event put on by the Heart Institute of the Caribbean in conjunction with the Association of Black Cardiologists. I'm Javon Keys for Business Access TV, serious about business.
Now presenting the Jamaica Social Investment Fund ICDP Enterprise Development Project. Entrepreneurial Grant Business Pitch.
This project is a $100 million grant that's seeking to target 50 small and micro business enterprises and give them training, capacity development, equipment, permits and license towards the development and the viability of their business. We have made a call for proposal in March of this year for entrepreneurs to submit for the opportunity to receive a grant between $1 and $5 million. We received more than 500 applications, and so we have now shortlisted them to 100. So we've invited that top 100 applicants here today, and they're going to have to pitch their business idea to a panel, and of the 150 will actually transfer and win the opportunity for the grants. One of the primary objectives of what we're doing here is employment. We want the business to be able to sustain not only the principals as the owners, but we also want the business to be able to employ at least 2 people. The next part of it, as we do in all of our projects like this, is it provides a learning instrument of how we can engage small and micro enterprises and take them to the next level.
Why we're doing this rigorous process, because we want to identify the best potential entrepreneurs to fund for this project. And keep in mind that we are speaking about a loan, so we want to ensure that the applicants are committed, and that from a sustainability point of view, that upon receiving the support from JSIP, that in 2-3 years, the enterprises will still be operational and the broader objective of the project would be achieved. Once we have now equipped them and they should be ready to start the production line going, we'll then have a mentorship component.
It has been a very competitive process. Jamaica is filled with persons with drive and passion. We're expecting that the best will be selected. And then for those who are not successful, we are also hoping to link them to other providers of services, because I'm telling you today, from what I've seen, it is an excellent, excellent, excellent opportunity. It's worthy of note that many persons coming here today already have some kind of semblance of a business, but they need the additional support to move that business to the other level, as well as some persons that are coming with those proposals to start from scratch. On behalf of the JSIF, we want to really thank the DBJ and other partners from UE who came to be part of the panel, and just to remind you that the JSIF is here and we're investing for community development.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Have you seen it? It's BATV Live. Live streams of business news weekdays at 7:30 p.m. Stay on point Thursdays at 8 p.m. with our Business Current Affairs show and Weekend Business Report Saturdays at 7:30 p.m. Wherever you are. Log on to our Facebook page at Business Access TV or visit our website at batvja.com. Live and at your fingertips. Business Access TV. Serious about business.
Our women are the backbone of our society. They deserve to be protected and respected. Domestic violence is not okay. Speak up and speak out. No more violence against women.
On this week's episode of Chill Spot, we'll be in the company of Kesia Johnson-Vaughan. She's the Marketing Manager of Programs at Scotiabank, Jamaica. She'll be sharing with us one of her favorite hideaway spots. It's Jake's Hotel, Villa and Spa right here in Treasure Beach, St. Elizabeth. So don't go anywhere, you won't want to miss it. Hi guys, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hi, Kesia. Candy.
Nice to meet you. Welcome
Hi.
to Jake's and Treasure
Thank
Beach.
you. This is just a lovely property. As you step out here, you feel the ambience. It just feels so good.
And the breeze.
Oh, amazing. Yes, absolutely. So tell us a little about Jake's and the history of the property.
Wow. Well, my grandparents came here in 1941 and built a little cottage, a 2-bedroom cottage, which is on Calabash Bay, the year my mother was born. And then 50 years later, 1991, they leave the little cottage for my aunt and the house in Mandeville for my mother.
Right.
And she was like, no, 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 I want a piece of Treasure Beach as well. So she sold the house in Mandeville and bought this original house behind us, which is over 100 years old.
Wow.
And that's how Jake started in 1993 as a restaurant, because there was nowhere to eat.
Right.
And back then it was really just German backpackers who were coming to Treasure Beach.
Okay.
You know, no one else had really heard of it.
Right.
And I was in banking. I was managing Pan-Caribbean Merchant Bank in Montego Bay. And I said, you know, to my mother, I said, you know, let's expand the restaurant into a hotel. And I gave up my job. And everyone was very concerned because, you know, they're going to Treasure Beach where no one had heard of, and there were not even phone lines back here in 1992. And today, you know, we really have a boutique hotel that we're so proud of.
Love it. And how many rooms does the hotel currently have?
We have 50 rooms, made up of 30 rooms on the main property, and then we have 6 cottages and 6 villas within walking distance. So people consider here as like, the hotel.
Right.
And then, they speak about Jake's Village, which is basically, throughout the area of Treasure Beach.
And as we're here today, I've been told that the entire place is sold out. Is that true?
It is, and January, February, March, we really do a lot of,
busy time.
yeah. But it's been a real mother and son journey, because my mother is a creative one, and she's an artist.
Well, I love what she has done with the place. It is beautiful.
It's really amazing. I absolutely love it here. That's why it's called the chill spot.
All right.
I love it.
People come and chill here all the time, boy, I tell you.
I'm telling you, from Kingston to here, you can't ask for anything else.
With the new highway now,
yeah,
it's easy.
In no time.
And we have our own airstrip, 10 minutes from the property. We put in an airstrip 5 years ago.
Wow.
So people flying in small planes.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
That's
to us, it's about building a destination, and we want to be a model for community and sustainable travel.
I love that you guys are giving back, which is just so important in business these days.
It is. We have our own non-profit organization called Breads. It's like brother or brethren. And I grew up in Treasure Beach hearing fishermen hail each other as breads.
Right.
So we decided just to form a non-profit organization. Over the last 5 years, we've raised over $1 million to develop the Treasure Beach Sports Park and Academy. And 60% of that has come from corporate Jamaica, including banks like Scotia Bank. And then also the public sector, so the Sports Development Foundation, the Tourism Enhancement Fund. We work very closely with UNICEF, and we have a program that promotes game-based learning in 60 schools with 12,000 kids a week.
Wow.
27
learning.
Yeah.
Is that like, what kind of games?
It's activities. What you find is that the primary schools don't have a physical education program. So we train coaches, but taught them games and activities that stimulate learning. So it fills the PE curriculum.
Right.
So we wanted to work in that space. So we trained these coaches. The Ministry of Education have endorsed it, and then UNICEF funded it. So it's affecting 12,000 kids a week. So that's something we're very, very proud of.
They're learning at the same time.
Learning at the same time.
That's lovely. You guys are doing so much. Are we going to be doing a lot today?
Yes, Candy, we're going to be doing a lot today. We're going to enjoy the property. So, we have to have some lovely, lovely food at the restaurant, which we're going to taste later. And we're going to go by the beach. We're going to enjoy the nice scene. We're definitely going to go to my little swing around there. Just relaxing your mind. We will definitely, of course, come back, and we're going to go by the spa. Nice massage. The spa. After coming from Kingston,
you need that.
Yeah, you need that unwind. So definitely we're going to go to the spa. And let's see what else we can take in, because the day is going to be really tight packed, but let's see what we can put in.
Well, Casey, let's start by doing a little tour. I want to see the rooms and what this property is like.
Yes.
And Jason, thank you so much for talking to us.
And welcome again.
Thank you.
Go and explore.
I will. Thank you, Jason. All right.
Let's go.
Candy,
Bye.
Let's go.
What would you say drives you to succeed as a young person in business?
My mantra is strive for excellence, and I don't settle for in between. It's just go and do it.
I'm 36. I'm a husband, a manager, and still very good looking. In 2 hours, I have the most important meeting of my life. But first, it's time to play. The new Suzuki Vitara.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
It's not straightening. That's too funny. That's just too funny.
Okay, so let's talk about your professional life. What do you do?
I'm marketing manager programs at Scotiabank.
And what does that mean?
Okay, so Scotiabank, as you know, we deal with several different business lines.
Right.
And so business lines consist of, where other companies would say brands, we call them business lines. So currently I manage corporate and commercial banking, small business, as well as Credit Scotia, credit cards, and non-branch merchant services.
And you do the marketing for all of those?
All of these business lines. What that means is coming up with the strategy, managing the execution, looking for opportunities to help the different sectors, business lines to grow, and also how to increase customer relationship, client intimacy, just looking about how to get the brands out there.
And were you always in banking, or?
No, so I left Caramac at that time, went straight to Jamaica National, and where I was doing PR for them.
Wait, you said Caramac?
Caramac.
So that's what you studied?
I studied media and communications. I know, right? But don't ask me, I actually wanted to be a journalist. Right. You know, my friends keep asking, Casey, how did you make the transition? Actually, it was in alcohol.
Alcohol?
Right, so I worked with Diageo for about 3 years, and then subsequently I left Diageo and went to Lascelles. So I worked with Lascelles for about 2.5 years, where I managed even Magnum tonic wine.
Okay.
So I was a brand manager for Magnum at one point in time. Managed Campari, vodka. But while I was at Red Stripe, I did sales and business development. And then there's an opportunity that came up at the time, and I left and went to Lascelles, okay. Which was then a part of the Renefe Group, and that was a category manager post. So pretty much I managed several brands again, and as well as some brand managers.
What would you say is your favorite part about your job?
Execution. One of the things I love to see was when you have an idea, and you know it's a lot of work and back and forth with different suppliers and the concepts, and you want to get it all together. And when you actually have that idea and you're able to look back and see the execution, see your come to fruition, you see the life, and then people are enjoying the concept, and you get the feedback from people, from the different customers to say, wow, this is lovely. Right. Who came up with this concept? I enjoyed it. That alone, just really amazing. Your partners are happy, your customers are happy, and then your brand is strong.
Absolutely. And then similarly now, what would you say is the most challenging part about your position?
All right, so working with people is never easy. So the thing is that because I manage several business lines, every different business line has a different personality. And then, working with different persons, that some persons are very conservative. The other person, you have to convince them to understand why you're doing this from a marketing perspective, because you always know, persons always think marketers just spend money, but they don't see that we really adding value and helping. Right. Because if you don't market your product,
translating into a sale, people don't see that.
You go.
Right.
So you have to try to convince your partner sometimes to see that, listen, you're coming up with something to help your brand to be out there. The more your brand is out there, then people are going to want more. So that's probably one of the most challenging part of the job.
Specific to your role and the programs that you have executed, talk to us a little about that.
All right, so like I was explaining to you earlier, I manage at least 6 business lines. Right. So let's take, for example, one of the business lines, credit card. So Scotiabank has several credit cards, as you see out there. So that's actually my portfolio. So when you see all the different ads, the concept, etc., surrounding credit cards, that's actually, along with the other team members, we work.
Every parent wants healthy children and nutritious meals, and yet a lot find it hard to succeed in helping their kids to develop good eating habits from early. This week on The Good Life, we talk to health coach Rachel Christian, who uses her expertise in health coaching to help her kids make better decisions. Take a look.
I'm Rachel Christian. I'm a health coach, and basically what a health coach is somebody who guides a person along their journey towards better health, helping them to make the correct choices and develop sustainable habits which will keep them along their healthy lifestyle path. I was facing some issues myself, and I attributed them all to weight loss and not being able to sustain weight loss for any period of time. And so I started with that goal in mind. And then while I was on my journey, I realized that all of my efforts would be counterproductive goal-wise if I didn't get my other foods, my primary foods, in check. When we think about health, we often think of just, food and exercise. So there are 2 foods that which we nourish ourselves with. There's our secondary food, which everybody knows about. It's our nutrition, what we put in our mouth. But we also have a set of primary foods, which are very critical to optimizing health, but they're often overlooked. And our primary foods are our spirituality. If you don't have a core or a center from which you are able to deal with the many things that come at you on a regular basis throughout the day, then that can create stress, which can also lead to an unhealthy life. There's your career, how you're spending your day, 8 hours of your day. If you're spending that in a toxic space or a toxic energy, then that can be debilitating. And then there's also relationships, the kind of relationships you have with yourself and the relationships you have with other people, What are you telling yourself about yourself? That can also lead to unhealthy life. And so once I started to focus on those things and keep them in check, it became much easier for me to control how I exercise and also to control how I eat. I lost the weight and I became healthy. But then in that, I realized health is about so much more than weight loss. It's about the life that you gain. And once I was eating better foods and exercising and paying attention to my primary foods, my life just opened up in so many different ways. I was able to achieve so many more of the goals that I set for myself. My whole outlook, my whole passion, my energy, my drive, my clarity, all of those things just improved. It's something that I don't think people realize is possible, and even if they know it's possible, they don't think it's achievable, and I just want to help them realize that it's so achievable and so possible. As I was reading an article the other day about the obesity and overweight rate in Jamaica right now. The Ministry of Health just released a study which shows that obesity and overweight has doubled in about the past 7 years, which is kind of scary because that opens children up to type 2 diabetes and other non-communicable diseases at an early age. We have to remember that our secondary foods, food that we eat, is absorbed at a very cellular level when we take it in. And so it shapes our organs, our cells. It also impacts the way that the chemicals and hormones interact in our brain. And so it affects our mood, the way we act, the way we behave, the way we think. Nutrition for children is extremely important because I spoke to the fact that type 2 diabetes is real, overweight, obesity, and non-communicable diseases. But also in terms of their passion and their clarity and their drive and their goal achievement. It's very, very important. We can do small things to influence their behavior from a young age so that when they get big like me, they don't have to struggle, for so long, or it don't have to be such a hard fight to get their health on track the way I struggled before to get mine on track. If they introduce small habits from a young age, then when they grow up, they'll hold on to these habits and it will become easier for them to, make health a priority. We are influencers of our children's behavior. We determine how they behave, we determine how they diet, how they see food. It's very unfortunate that sweet, sugary, processed snacks are the cheaper way to go. They're the cheaper alternative. But you can do little things like you can shop instead of buying your food produce at the supermarket, go to the market, go to a farmer's market and buy it. It works out to be cheaper. There are also small things you can do. We say start as early as infancy with breastfeeding. Breastfeeding is very, very important. One of the things that's interesting to point out is that formulas, when you're feeding a baby out of a bottle, they don't usually stop when they're full. They stop when you finish feeding them the bottle, when the bottle is finished. And so breastfeeding gives the child a chance to stop. So they're able to control then their intake, and that's something that follows them through life as they get older. I don't give my children rice every day. I give them ground provisions most of the time. I swap out white rice for brown rice where I can. I always ensure that they have a piece of fruit with their breakfast. I don't at all let soda into my house. Soda is not allowed into my house. They have it from time to time when they're on the road, rarely, but it's not allowed in my house. My children drink water, and if they're going to drink juice, then they drink freshly squeezed juice. Because when you look at these packaged juice and the soda, 20-ounce can of soda has 16 teaspoons of sugar, and that's per serving. If they get sugary drinks, I mix it, I dilute it with water to kind of cut down their sugar intake. I tend to stay away from sweet fruits for my kids. I give them, but I give them in moderation, and I give them more of the fruits that don't have in so much sugar, like watermelon, cantaloupe. I give them a lot of berries. I give them Ethiopian apple is another favorite of mine. So not so much the grape and the pineapple. You have to be careful with the servings of those because they have a lot of sugar, and although it's good sugar, it still metabolizes our sugar. So I also introduced a thing in my house, Meatless Mondays. They have Taco Tuesdays too. For 1 day out of the week, we don't cook meat. I recently moved it to 3 days now, so we have 3 meatless days. But I give them, they have chickpeas instead. They have beans, a bean salad. They didn't draw to these things. Remember that these things didn't come to them naturally, right? Especially my older two who came in to my lifestyle a little later than my youngest one. So it took coaching, I had to sit at the table with them, they had to see me eating it. But that coaching didn't last a long time. I mean, they get used to it sooner than you think. And in our head, we tend to think it's like so much work and it's going to take so much out of me. Believe me, it doesn't. So I come up with these little themes because if you make it fun for them, they'll become more involved. And they get involved. And another way too is that I get them involved in making my green juices. They help me to make my smoothies. They help bake cookies with me. When children feel like they're a part of something, they're more eager to try it after. So that really works for me. I ensure that they are not sitting down in front of the TV 24/7. So that whole sedentary lifestyle with the whole iPad and sitting down in front of the TV, no, not all day. You know, get up, go outside and play. Sign them up for extracurriculars. Make sure they see you working out and make sure they see you eating healthy. That's a big part of it. We don't realize children at this age are very pliable. You know, we can mold them. It might look like, oh Lord, I'm not gonna eat this, I'm not gonna eat that. Over a period of time, you keep being consistent in giving them, sitting down with them, let them see you eating it, eating your vegetables, eating your fruits, and they'll come into it. I mean, it's easier and it's much easier when you start them from a very young age. Like case in point, my children, I have 3 children. And so my journey started roundabout when my last child was a baby. And so he was introduced to green juice, noni tuna, aloe, smoothies at a very young age. So my children now, the bigger ones, they'll have it. But it's more like I have to really encourage it with them. With Jacob, the youngest, it's seamless. I mean, he goes for that.
It's season 12, and Wealth Magazine Business Access is here to keep you business savvy. With an impressive mix of some of Jamaica's most inspiring business moguls, we continue to keep Jamaica informed, empowered, and ready to dominate. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. only on BATV.
You're watching
Business Access.
Business Access.
Business Access. Business Access TV.
Serious about business.
Caring Hands Season 3 continues to effect change in a changing environment.
Many of us were raised by grandmothers, right? So, I mean, we know the wisdom that these people have.
Going beyond business.
The little leaders of today are our leaders of tomorrow. And with the proper education, we'll have very good leadership coming from that.
That's Season 3 of Caring Hands, creating change and shaping lives, every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Ready for cable for as little as $100? Ready for no monthly cable bill? Ready for 10 TV channels absolutely free? Then pick up our Ready TV box at authorized stores for $4,500. Hook it up to your TV set, then top it up with Ready Credit for 1, 7, or 30 days. Buy now and get $1,000 free Ready Credit and start watching your favorite shows. Pick it up, hook it up, top it up. Ready TV. Prepaid cable TV when you're ready. Now serving Kingston and St. Catherine. Limited time offer while stocks last. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to The Good Life. We are still here with Rachel Christian, who is giving us some tips to promote healthy eating habits for kids.
There's so many dietary theories out there, and if you follow all of them, you'll really go crazy. I mean, a lot of them have pros, a lot of them have cons. I mean, I don't bother myself too much with that because then it gets overwhelming. And so I consider myself to be a everything on. So some days I'm a vegetarian and I don't eat meat. Some days I'm a vegan, I don't eat dairy products or meat or anything with a face. Some days I'm Atkins, where I don't eat any carbs. I just mix everything up. I try not to box myself in because then things will get overwhelming and the chances of me sticking to the journey become less. Well, this is what I say. I mean, the more work you put into something is the better it will become. It sounds like a lot initially to make all these changes, but start with one change at a time. Start with cutting out the soda in the house and the juices. Start with that. Start with keeping them on only water. Over time, it becomes seamless. It becomes seamless. Okay, so now that I've talked to you guys about how you can improve nutrition in your household with your kids, I'm gonna show you how I improve nutrition with my kids. All right, guys, so what are we making?
We're making cookies.
Woohoo! Okay, so what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to smash up the bananas for mommy?
You're gonna peel the banana.
Okay.
Then you're gonna smash it.
You like banana?
Yeah.
So we're using bananas. They're nutritional. And kids like them in the treat because they're sweet. So
If there's any fruit I would actually love to eat, it's bananas.
all right, so now that those are squashed, we're just gonna throw everything else in there. So we have some flax, we have some walnuts, we have raisins, we have oatmeal, we have unsweetened coconut flakes, honey, cinnamon, and baking powder. Always try to use coconut oil instead of vegetable
Can I
oil.
pour the honey in, Mommy?
Yes.
Tell me when to stop.
Squeeze, squeeze.
Could I help him?
All right, okay, okay, oh!
A lot of honey.
And then you're going to mix this up. So it's kind of just mixing all the stuff around there. Make sure you get all the bananas at the bottom.
Mommy, keep mixing.
Can you stop licking out my bowl? Hey! Spray our baking sheet. We kind of just get some of the mixture.
Can I try that?
Okay.
No, but we're part of this too. People on TV.
See how involved they are? Make it like a cookie. All right. Awesome, wow. We just put it in the oven for 350 degrees for about 15-20 minutes. Is it good? You like it? Good. All right, so we're going to be making a parfait, and a parfait is basically fruit with yogurt layered, and this is a good snack for kids. My kids love it, and I'm gonna show you how to make it.
Especially Jacob.
Yeah, especially Jacob. He comes running into the kitchen like, can I have some parfait? Can I have some parfait? I use Greek Oikos yogurt, non-fat plain. I use fruits. I use honey to give it a little sweetening. And I also put chia seeds in there, which is full of fiber and good for digestive health.
What's digestive health?
It makes your belly turn better
Ouch.
and makes you absorb all the nutrients in your food better.
Okay.
Okay? All right, so the first thing we do is to get a layer of yogurt in there. I usually make these the night before to give the chia seeds a chance to swell.
Mommy, can I lick off my spoon?
Yes, but you can't put it back into the yogurt.
Okay.
And so then I pour a little of these.
Are we gonna have any more spoon activities?
Yeah, wait, soon.
Okay, I'm not looking. Can't I just wash?
Kind of mix it up in here. Put the fruits in now. You have to stir them up in there.
Thanks for the chia seeds. Okay, that's good.
And now put another layer of fruit. And then you're finished.
Oh, I love papaya so much. I love strawberries. Taking all of the strawberries.
This is what it looks like when it's finished. It's really good.
So good.
Your business matters. Business Access TV offers you the most innovative and effective advertising solution for your business, specializing in B2B sales, cost-effective solutions, the customers you want, the repetition you need. No matter the size and nature of your company, your business matters. Call us at 876-618-2870 or email us at sales@batvja.com. Business Access TV, serious about business.
Violence against women is a violation of human rights. Its impact ranges from immediate to long-term physical, mental, and sexual consequences, sometimes resulting in death. It negatively impacts women's general well-being and can prevent us from fully participating in society. Be a better human being. No more violence against women. No more.
Career Moves has always explored interesting careers, highlighting all you may not have known about them. This season is no different.
Coming back to Jamaica, everyone's like, fizzy what? Fizzy who?
When you find a bright boy or girl in the class and people say, what are you going to be? The parents will say, you have to go be a doctor, you have to go be a lawyer. Nobody says you have to go be a politician.
Let me see your hands!
Tune in Tuesdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Business current affairs you can relate to. Frank, credible discussion. On point, dissecting the issues. Offering solutions to Jamaica's challenges. On Point, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on Business Access TV.
Welcome back to The Good Life. We are still here with Rachel Christian, who is giving us some tips to promote healthy eating habits for kids. If you are just joining us, you would have missed a very fun cooking show with Rachel and the kids, but we saved some for this segment.
I remember earlier I spoke about Meatless Mondays. So one of the Meatless Mondays, 3 days a week. So one of the meatless days in my house, one of the favorites is this lasagna, but instead of using meat, I use callaloo, and my kids love it. Right, Leo? You love it. Some kids have allergies and asthma, and dairy isn't good for asthma. And so if that's a problem that your child has, I wouldn't recommend using a lot of cheese in your lasagna. You could probably sprinkle a bit on top, just to give it, a little taste, but don't use the cheese when you're layering. So I'm gonna show you the reaction to it. I'm gonna cut a piece, put it in this plate, and then I'm gonna call Gabby to come and have some. Another Meatless Mondays dish that I do is roti and just curried chickpeas and potatoes. That's a really good one as well. It's kind of falling apart. So I'm just gonna give her a little taste of it. And how I make this is to layer it. I use callaloo, I use tomato sauce, I use tomatoes, I use cheese, and I use lasagna shells. Gabby, you shall taste this. What is this?
This is lasagna with some callaloo and tomato and vegetables.
And cheese. Blow, blow. All right, wait, okay. After all this work, I'm having my lasagna. Oh, very good.
I'm Gabrielle Christian and I'm 10 years old. And I think it's important that people eat nutritiously, because if you don't eat that nutritiously, then you'll get sick. But if you eat nutritiously, you'll stay healthy and you'll live for a long time. And I'm sure everybody wants to live for a long time. I like to eat chickpeas with curry chicken or roti, and it tastes really good. To me, it tastes good, and I really like it. I help her sometimes, and I help do a lot of things with her, and that also helps her to speed up her process, and it's fun making stuff with her.
First of all, my name is Adam. Second of all, I'm 7 years old, and I think people need
to be healthy so they could learn lots of stuff in school and they could grow up just to be so smart and own a big company. I want to be either a chef or a pizza delivery man. I like cake, I like steak, I like dumpling, and I especially like grapes and apples. My favorite vegetable is tomato. I like tomato because it's very sweet. And now, whenever you eat spicy stuff, it calms your mouth down, so you don't need water. Kids, eat your vegetables so you could get strong like me and work those muscles.
My name is Jacob and I'm 6. I have a problem eating veggies, but I eat them because they're good for you. Because it's nutritious and it gives you a lot of energy, and I need energy to play and learn. This is advice. Eat your vegetables and you will grow strong like Hulk. Eating healthy is for girls too, not just for boys. My favorite fruit is grapes because they're the fruit what tastes good actually. Bye, I need to get back to my game.
And that's it for The Good Life this week on Nutrition for Kids with health coach Rachel Christian. But before we go, take a look at a recap of some of the tips that Rachel gave.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange wishes to help to develop the social sector. To that end, they have formed the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange, which is a safe, efficient, and transparent platform that aims to promote social projects that build Jamaica and will inure to the benefit of all persons living in the country.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange is a company that encourages and mobilizes capital for the main market. And that is the market that is not the social sector. Now, the Jamaica Social Stock Exchange is really geared towards the social sector to help to solve social problems in the field of health, education, about children, environment. Those are some of the things that we consider social problems. And so it is to mobilize the capital, allow persons who have a desire to invest in a social good, to invest in the social stock exchange. It is designed in two parts. In phase 1, where we look at social investment, and phase 2, where we look at social impact investment. Now, in phase 1, really what we are saying is it is donation. An organization will have a social issue and design it into a project or a program and invite Jamaicans or persons within the diaspora or the entire world to fund this program. Now in phase 2, you're going to get a return on investment which is not social. You will be getting shares, natural shares, as you would get if you invested in the Jamaica Stock Exchange. And what you'll get is a return on capital, which is possibly dividend or an appreciation in that share. The Jamaica Social Stock Exchange does more than ask for the funding of these programs, but goes beyond that in terms of monitoring ensuring that these programs are meeting the targets and the reason for them to have asked for funding in the first place. When we look at this new sector, it is important because holistically, if you do not look on the social sector, you do not improve the other sectors. We want to encourage all businesses in Jamaica to have a corporate social responsibility because it is good for encouraging and the growth and development of businesses.
There's only one recommendation for funding that is ever going to come from me, and that is funding from a bank.
This is the cost to build, and it includes every nail and screw for the building.
Our motto is building communities, building a nation.
Get in the know with the world of real estate with Business Access TV's Home Sweet Home, Sundays at 4:30 p.m.
They say it takes a village to raise a child, but the world will one day need the leadership of that child. The time you spend with your child matters. It stimulates their minds and shapes the way they act. Talk with your